As many new players have joined the seas at the start of this year, in 2021 with A Pirate's Life and even in 2020 when the monthly updates were in full swing, Rare has long ditched a chunk of their live service. With adventures appealing to story players and becoming a bit divisive as of late, now is a good time to see what else Rare could populate seasons with, instead of just time-limited story missions. And the best part is, the design is already there. Join me as I journey back in time to the Bilge Rat Adventures. Sea of Thieves began as a barren game. Not even the polished gameplay and design of it could save the game from this criticism. Rare, ever eager to keep Sea of Thieves afloat, changed their roadmap entirely. This was based on feedback from their new player base, where more stuff to do was prioritised amongst the content seen in 2018's updates. But more importantly, Rare had planned some shorter, smaller updates to tide the community over to their second big content update, and everyone after that. These were the Bilge Rat Adventures. While I was a bit underwhelmed at first, maturity has made me realise their simplicity and brilliance. They were smaller updates that lasted 2 weeks. Following the Hungering Deeps campaign coming to a close, a brand new NPC had shown up to the tavern, this man being Duke. Duke represented a company called the Bilge Rats, a group of pirates who had banded together not for gold or glory, but for the sheer thrill of adventure. Duke is a key representative of the faction. He acted as our jumping off point and would stock rewards for us. To start off, Rare blessed us with the ever confusing skeleton thrones, releasing on the 13th of June 2018. These can still be seen on the map today and required us just to sit on them. It sounds easy, right? Well, yeah, but lots of them were in really awkward spots that required your ship's cannon to get to, or they were hidden on unmarked islands. They also included a larger variant in which 2 or more players from opposing crews had to sit on them, encouraging crews to cooperate. I think we were all a bit perplexed when this came out. I won't lie, it was something for us to do and was quite fun to get to some of the more difficult thrones. But finding other crews after the first week to help with the larger thrones was nigh on impossible. Duke also accepted a new currency called doubloons. These would be earned by completing their new commendations. On top of this, they were also used to buy his time-limited items. The first lot were a new set, the Bone Crusher dress, hat and jacket. What was great about this update is that the commendations and thrones stayed after completing, so technically you can still go and do this today. And if anyone needs help with the larger thrones, well, let me know. Moving on. Next up, we had Gunpowder Skeletons, releasing on the 28th of June. This update was really simple. It added the skeletons that carry kegs to the game, and yes, these weren't a launch feature. Moreover, the kegs were now equipped with fuses, allowing players to cause a delayed explosion. Again, before this, you had to detonate them with a shot or by a ship's hull touching a keg. None of these fancy schmancy fuses you kids are blessed with nowadays. Rare went even further. Kegs now rock ships and push them back after they explode. So Rare even improved the game's physics here. This is a really large update when you think about it. Sandbox improvements outside of large features is an ideal small update. Small in quotation marks. Duke stocked the Bone Crusher weapons this time around and even had more commendations available to earn those doubloons. This content is still used today, and I'm sure some of you were shocked to hear all of this wasn't a launch feature. The Sunken Curse was released shortly after this on the 10th of July and introduced the Mermaid Statues. Duke had tasked us with swimming down to destroy them. These statues came in 3 varieties, all with different strengths, and damaged any pirate who dared to get close. Unfortunately, the mermaid gems did not exist at this point, and therefore there was no gold reward. Conversely, Rare implemented washed up loot which can be combed from the beaches and shallows to incentivize us diving down to the depths. I thought this Bilge Rat adventure was okay. It's probably the weakest of the 5 main ones, but it was an activity nonetheless. For our troubles, Duke awarded us with a Whaling Barnacle hat, dress and jacket, which makes this adventure all the worthwhile. Seriously, I absolutely love this set. Shrouded Spoils did come in and make this one more interesting by adding the gems as a reward, but it made the content more enjoyable and engaging when the rewards had been cycled out. The next Bilge Rat adventure wouldn't come out until the 29th of August. This was due to Curse sales launching at the end of the Sunken Curse. As we all know, that update introduced skeleton ships and the brig, but the former was armed with cursed cannonballs. Cursed cannonballs were not something we could use until cursed crews came out, this time putting the deadly weapons into our hands. All 11 cannonballs were now available and Rare wanted us to use them on skellies and each other. They made the smart move to release the Reaper's Mark at the same time as this, a tool for marking ourselves on the map and letting players know we wanted to fight. The spawn rate of cursed cannonballs was also insane. The commendations urged us to fight one another and hit ships and skellies with the balls. I think Curse Cruise was the best by far due to its intelligent design. Adding tools to layer the sandbox with what is essentially power weapons was a genius move. They went even further by adding a PvP flag or a hard mode flag for those who wanted to engage with the content. Nowadays, Curse cannibals are harder to get, but an important part of engagements as they can make or break fights in the right hands. Duke shared the Wailing Barnacle weapons with us if we managed to bring him enough doubloons, again being a massive win in terms of cosmetics. But this adventure also came out with a hell of an awful change. Barrels 2.0. So barrels before this update would be simple. They would only support one item in them at a time, and you could only take one item out at a time with a single input press. When Barrels 2.0 launched, it featured the multi-item inventory we all know and love. Well, we didn't love this. We fucking hated it. The system was super clunky on release and would have you stop and get stuck on this screen. And also, more often than not, you would get stuck on it. Or it just wouldn't open. It really broke the game before it was patched a couple weeks later, and again when Forsaken Shores released. This was deemed a really bad change until it was fully patched, but was necessary with the diversification of cannonballs. I actually unlocked a repressed memory making this video, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Anyway, we have our last true Bilge Rat adventure, Festival of the Damned, which launched after Forsaken Shores. This was our first Halloween update and introduced the Flames of Fate, the 6 different coloured flames we can claim from the ferry. You could get blue for dying to a shark, white for lightning, green for skellies, purple from venom, pink for other players killing you, and red from fire, or at this point it was volcanoes. We were rewarded for lighting these new beacons dotted around the map, collecting different flames, and decorating our ships. The coloured flames were actually a cool customization tool, and I wish more was done with this. The lore behind this was really sweet too. The Festival of the Damned was a way to honour the ferryman and give thanks to him bringing us back from the Sea of the Damned. Arguably, this was the least evergreen content, as it was completely uprooted to be used for the Fort of the Damned, but at least it was a cool concept and yet another new mechanic added to Sea of Thieves. Oh, and it had the best cosmetics. We got 3 new face paints, which hadn't been seen before, Skull, Ghostlight and Fate Fire, with the first being my signature face paint for the last 4 years as of this month. And we got the Festival of the Damned lantern and sails for our efforts, which looks stunning. Finally, the tavern was updated with suitably spooky music and decorations. All in all, it was a really nice update for just 2 weeks. After this, Bilge Rat Adventures were transformed and became the less enjoyable mercenary voyages. You can listen to why by clicking in the top right corner now. I think the important takeaway is how large these updates were for fortnightly ones. Surely adventures could be more grand and glamorous, but these added content that we still use today, and I feel like a shithead for not respecting their worth in 2018. I would love to see a new Tall Tale each season, a new Bilge Rat adventure in this style, and a Reaper run to really appeal to all players. Or even one less adventure and get 2 of the latter. That would be fine with me. Lost Sands was almost like this because of the Soul Flame rowboats, but removed them for no apparent reason. Sorry Lorena, but your favours lack the flair and balls to the wall adventures that Jukes did, and you kicked him out because you were jealous. That's real lore, by the way. Either way, I hope you enjoyed another history lesson and subscribe for more like it. I'm so chuffed to make a video about these updates, and it has genuinely filled me with nostalgia. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.